Representative Rigby, if you could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Introduce themselves, starting with Chairman Mao.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Representative Dan Mao from Adams County, just south of here. Thanks.
Good afternoon, Rich Irvin. I represent parts of Huntington County and Franklin County, and actually the district that I represent is just about probably a mile or two down the road, so it's great to be here.
Good morning, Representative David Rowe from the 85th Legislative District. That includes Snyder, Union, Juniata, and Mifflin counties.
Representative Josh Kale, Beaver, Washington counties.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Shippensburg. Representative Tornecker.
Good afternoon. Representative Jim Rigby, Cambria, and Somerset counties.
Good afternoon. Barb Gleim from Cumberland County. I have Newburgh area, North Newton. I'm about 6 miles from here, so thanks.
Perry Stanball from the 86th District, all of Perry and most of Juniata, and formerly the 86 did cover this area of western Cumberland County, including the borough of Shippensburg.
And we also will have members joining us online, and that is a big screen to have a member joining us with, but yeah, right. They know the drill. Once they come online, raise your hand. Keep your computer muted. Representative Eckert, this is your district. I'd like to give you the floor to give some brief opening remarks.
Thank you, Chairman Kyle. I thank you for bringing the policy committee to Shippensburg and to the 193rd. I believe this is our 70th hearing. I think
70th. Yeah.
70th. So it's a landmark hearing. But no, I just want to thank you all for being here. I think we have a really good panel today. I want to thank the university and Dr. Patterson for hosting us and having us here today. As you can see, it's a lovely campus, beautiful day, beautiful fall day in well, not quite fall, but it feels like fall a little bit more. And I'm just so thankful for them to host us, and I think we have a really good panel today to talk about why people want to come to Pennsylvania. We spent a lot of time criticizing some of our policies. I think today's a good hearing to talk from some business owners who chose to come to Pennsylvania or expanded their businesses in Pennsylvania. So I really look forward to the testimony today, and I really appreciate my colleagues for being here.
Thank you, Representative Eckert. And Dr. Patterson, if you got a call this morning about some mysterious guy running around campus, that was actually me. I was running this morning. I was doing my laps, and I decided to come up here and run through. And you do have a beautiful campus. I'd like to give you the floor for welcoming remarks, and we'll go from there.
Thank you, Chairman Kale. Good morning. Shippensburg University is honored to host this hearing today, and many individuals present who work diligently for the future of Pennsylvania. I'd like to acknowledge some of our Shippensburg University trustees in the audience today. Our Chairman Doug Harbach, trustees Ashley Loper, and our student trustee Colin Arnold are here with us, as well as former trustee and current member of the Board of Governors, Bill Gindelsberger. And I want to thank you, Chairman Kale and Vice Chair Ecker, and all the members of the committee for choosing SHIP to hold this hearing. At SHIP, we're proud to be a part of the work as the regional public flagship university. And one thing is very clear in this region: employers want to grow here, and people want to live here in the Cumberland Valley. And to meet this demand, we continue to do our part in educating the future workforce that Pennsylvania needs. This includes new and reimagined programs in high-demand areas like supply chain management and our 6 ABET accredited programs within the Morgan School of Engineering. This also includes the work we have done since 1871 in preparing teachers, education administrators, and superintendents that are employed throughout the Commonwealth. We continue to create new relationships with our employers in our region to ensure that what students are learning in the classroom and within their field experiences provides them with the skills that they need to hit the ground running in the workforce. These relationships also provide valuable internships and research opportunities that make SHIP students a ready-to-work and in-demand resource for Pennsylvania. We also understand the value small businesses help to create in our economy. Through our entrepreneurship program, the Charles H. Diller Jr. Center for Entrepreneurial Leadership and Innovation, and hosting the region's Small Business Development Center here on SHIP's campus, we are helping people cultivate their ideas and launch successful businesses. But Pennsylvania's workforce demands more than traditional four-year degrees, and we are meeting that demand in new ways as well. Our Office of Workforce Development offers dynamic and customized training solutions for employers that are seeking to reskill and upskill their workforce. Through online and on-site training programs, we are offering leadership, communication, technical training, and more. And this is helping to create pathways for businesses and workers to grow in Pennsylvania. And we're excited to see a continued contributor to this growth. This past year, we offered an Introduction to Construction program for adults looking to enter this in-demand field. It was a successful endeavor that was followed by an introduction to a construction camp for school-aged children to explore this career path. Our workforce is more diverse than ever, and employer needs are shifting. SHIP now offers an interactive career-building tool that is available to the community for free in both English and Spanish. We're also providing Spanish courses for supervisors, expanding their ability to communicate effectively with employees. Our commitment to Pennsylvania's economic growth is strong, and so is our commitment to the community as a holistic system of prosperity and wellness. Our Shippensburg Community Resource Coalition provides students in the social services field with hands-on experience while filling critical social services gaps within our community. This includes a summer lunch program for school-aged children and weekend food supplies for food insecure families within our area. The Shippensburg University Center for Land Use and Sustainability works closely with our municipal and local governments and business leaders to ensure that growth in our region provides a sustainable and environmentally friendly area. Our Growing Edges Community Counseling Clinic helps to fill a gap in our mental health services, providing free counseling to children, adults, and families in our community. And the program also allows experience and research opportunities for students in the clinical mental health counseling program. Beyond these many support services, we provide unique educational and cultural opportunities for our regional community with varied speaker series and nationally and internationally known performers at our Loras Performing Arts Center on campus. We're also home to a variety of unique public and museum spaces. I share all of this with you today to remind you that SHIP remains committed to our mission as a public institution to contribute to the economic, social, and cultural development of Pennsylvania's communities and its economy. We look forward to continuing to work with you and the great state of Pennsylvania on this venture. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor, and thank you for having us here today. We appreciate you allowing us to use this venue, and I'm looking forward to the hearing that we are going to have here today, and I know Representative Eckert talked about a little bit about what's going on and what we're going to be talking about, and this is our 70th hearing, and many of our hearings have been about obstacles for entities to come into Pennsylvania and to build in Pennsylvania or to grow in Pennsylvania. We've talked to farmers, we've talked to coal miners, we've talked to manufacturers, developers across the board, and I'm looking forward to the discussion today. But before we have that discussion, I do think I want to take a step back and kind of reflect on why this stuff matters to us and why we're diving in deep to these particular granular issues, because my guess is we're going to hear more granular issues today and talk about nuts and bolts of how we can fix things legislatively and what we do well and what we can do better. But it's important to remember that at the end of the day, this is about jobs. This is about family-sustaining jobs in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And far too often in Harrisburg and in politics generally, there's this false dichotomy that's brought. Either one side cares about jobs and business, and the other side cares about what's happening on a social level as far as, people that need help and people that are in bad situations. It's not true, because in many cases, if not all cases, what fixes the problem is somebody getting a job. If a region is struggling, they need jobs in that region. When jobs leave a region, and then you see struggle. I saw this growing up in western Pennsylvania. In Beaver County, when I was born, our unemployment rate was something like 26%. and how that changed the entire landscape of the county over the course of the next 10 years was dramatic. It was dramatic. You had friends of mine whose parents went from working in a steel mill and making a good living to working at a local Sunoco and then, delivering pizzas at night. And how that impacted people's lives and what it meant to the area and how it deteriorated over the course of the next number of years. It all boils back to jobs and people having opportunity and family-sustaining jobs. So I think it's very important that we keep the macro picture in mind when we talk about the micro issues like that we're going to hear about today. So I'm looking forward to hearing from our testifiers. We have 4 testifiers, and if you all would like to come up and take your spots now, if we could. We have Andy Williford, the Volvo Construction Equipment. We have Darren Croxall from Schreiber Foods, Justin Townley from Schreiber Foods, and Joshua Simmons, the International Paper. I believe 3 of you are testifying, and all 4 of you are going to be here for the Q&A. So, Mr. Williford, the floor is yours.
Well, there we go. It's working. Thank you for pressing the button. So, my name's Andy Williford. I'm the head of human resources or people and culture for Volvo Construction Equipment Americas. I've been with the company for 21 years, and about 17 of those have been here in Shippensburg. I'd like to talk today not about issues per se, because I think there's things that we, as a company, we've decided that it's about opportunity and things we can do in partnership, and we have to figure out ways to work together to solve problems that we may run into as a manufacturer in Pennsylvania or in this region. So I want to thank you for inviting me to this testimony today. It's really great to be able to talk about opportunities and challenges of being a major manufacturer in Pennsylvania. Volvo Group is based in Gothenburg, Sweden, and we're a global leader in sustainable transport and infrastructure solutions. We build trucks and buses and construction equipment. We do power solutions for marine and industrial applications through Volvo Penta. We've got a financing company, and we also put significant focus on customer services through all of our entities. Now, we've had a manufacturing presence in Pennsylvania since Mack Trucks moved into Lehigh Valley in 1905. We're actually the parent company of Mack Trucks. Mack's heavy-duty product line is built at the Lehigh Valley Operations Facility. We call this LVO in Macungie. In addition, we've got Mack Defense building heavy dump trucks, and there's a $300 million Army contract that they're satisfying at the moment, located in Allentown as well. In Shippensburg, Volvo Construction Equipment produces wheel loaders and compactors, as well as we are a regional completion center for excavators, and we rebuild used equipment as part of equipment circularity and life extension of that equipment. We're also home to the North American headquarters for sales. We've got an engineering hub in Shippensburg as well, and then there's a customer demonstration facility here in Shippensburg. This facility draws over 10,000 visitors each year to Shippensburg for machine shows that we do, product demonstrations, operator trainings, and those kinds of things. In 2021, we've invested about $4 million to expand that training center, and we added new machine bays, new classrooms, and a virtual training lab. In addition, we have in Middletown, we've got a remanufacturing center, and what it does is restores worn components, rebuilds engines back to original specifications for Mack Trucks, for Volvo Trucks, and Volvo Construction Equipment. We see ourselves as an economic partner to Pennsylvania. The group directly employs about 4,000 Pennsylvanians with about 10,600 indirect jobs created by our presence in the Commonwealth. And our group has paid somewhere in the neighborhood of $340 million in wages and salaries annually and made capital investments of more than $200 million since 2021. I'd like to spend time talking about our construction equipment footprint in Pennsylvania, and there's a lot of reasons I'd like to describe why we chose to be in Pennsylvania, but the 2 biggest are, the availability of a very strong workforce, and then access to the I-81 corridor. And so with strong economic growth in the area, we see both of these things as big opportunities where we want to partner with and find opportunities to solve for these problems. The lifeblood of our business is our people, and it's increasingly challenging to find folks that can support our growth initiatives. There's a misconception about working in manufacturing and with trades in general. We've got about 600 people working at our site in Shippensburg, and the range of positions include things like telematic data analysts, engineers, logistics specialists, and we've got machinists and welders and assemblers. These are all great paying jobs, and we have fantastic benefits. At VCE, we've been proactive in creating partnerships to solve our challenges, and we see these partnerships as opportunities for us to recruit and create awareness about opportunities in manufacturing. We've collaborated closely with the Franklin County Career Technology Center. We've built a customized training program for Volvo industrial workers with FCCTC. We also work closely with Shippensburg University in a number of different programs. We're proud of sponsorship of scholarships that we provide, but we also employ about 50 interns at our Shippensburg facilities. Not all of them are from Shippensburg universities, but they represent schools across the Commonwealth. The other thing I'll mention is as part of Volvo Group North America, Penn State University is an academic preferred partner of the Volvo Group. We also work with national and Pennsylvania chapters of Skills USA to support middle and high school students and post-secondary students and professional members enrolled in training programs in trade and technical and skilled service occupations. And we've strongly supported Skills PA chapters, heavy equipment operator program, and they've been instrumental in helping us make it a national competition now at the annual Skills USA National Convention. It's our 50th year of manufacturing in Shippensburg, and it's our 119th year of manufacturing in the Lehigh Valley. So we want to be sure that we're connected with you so that we can continue to build a strong workforce in PA, educate students, parents early on about amazing career opportunities in manufacturing. And as for the 81 corridor, we see this as a critical throughway for our supply chain. The Volvo Group supply chain stretches from Southwest Virginia, where we produce Volvo trucks, up to Hagerstown, Maryland, where we're producing engines and transmissions and axles for Volvo and Mack truck applications. We employ over 500 Pennsylvanians at the Maryland site. And from that as well, the supply chain continues up through Shippensburg and then on towards our Mack Trucks facility in Allentown, PA. This corridor impacts over 8,500 Volvo Group employees and literally billions of dollars of goods and services that move in and out of our facilities and out to our dealers in North America annually. In Shippensburg, we have about 600 employee vehicles coming and going from our facility each day, and somewhere in the neighborhood of 45 truckloads of material coming inbound daily. In Macungie, where Mack is producing trucks for the North American market, I'll speak a little bit about Route 100. It really hasn't kept up with the residential and commercial buildup in that community. At Mack, they manage 2,300 employee autos in and out over 2 shifts at 2 facilities. They also have approximately 130 inbound trucks every day, as well as outbound truck traffic as well. And with this growth, Route 100 still being a 2-lane road, we see this as a safety issue as well as impacting the cost of doing business in the area. We continue to be involved in the I-81 Corridor Coalition. We're looking for ways to improve the safety and efficiency of freight and passenger movement. The result will save lives, it'll reduce cost, it'll expand economic opportunity and development as well. We're also a member of the Association of Equipment Manufacturers, and we're heavily involved in our association's efforts to make sure that there is infrastructure bill funding and that the Federal Highway Trust Fund stays solvent. So with that, I want to thank you for your time. As you can see from our actions, we're ready to collaborate, and we see these kinds of discussions as critical for our business, but also critical in the context of quality of life and growth in our communities.
Mr. Croxall.
Hey, my name is Darren Croxall. I'm the plant manager for our Shippensburg facility here for Schreiber Foods. I've been with Schreiber Foods for 29 years now, and I've lived here in Pennsylvania going on 8 years, so here in the Shippensburg area. Wonderful place here, really enjoying this area here with Shippensburg, with the partners and the people here. A little bit about the company for Schreiber Foods. Most people haven't heard of Schreiber Foods. We are a global company. We were founded in 1945 in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And since that point in time, we have grown to have over 30 plus different manufacturing facilities or operation facilities in multiple countries, North America, South America, we're in Europe, India, South Africa, so we are a very large growing company. We are in the dairy business, so we do primarily processed cheeses, natural cheeses. We do cream cheese, yogurts, shelf-stable beverages, and dairy powders. I can tell most of the partners or new partners that we have coming into the facility, you probably haven't heard of us, but I know that you've eaten some of our products. As far as this plant here in Shippensburg, Schreiber Foods began manufacturing in 2002. It was a cream cheese facility that we had acquired here. Pennsylvania is a very strategic position or location for Schreiber Foods. It puts us on the East Coast. It's within Pennsylvania, which is one of the top 10 dairy or milk producers. And with the business we're in, we need milk. And so this is a good location for Schreiber Foods. In, like I said, 2002, we started operations here. We have grown the business here in Shippensburg through expansions. We now have a yogurt part of the business that we're producing here in Shippensburg. We have a little over 500 partners. We call them partners in our company. One thing that's unique about Schreiber Foods is we are an ESOP company, so it's an employee stock ownership program. So all of the partners, employees that work for us have stock in the company and have a vested interest in how we perform and doing what is best for the organization and for them as owners. We continue to grow with our facility. Like I mentioned, we're over 500 partners now with our location. Here in Shippensburg, we produce cream cheese and yogurt. Over the years, Schreiber wants to continue to grow here in the Commonwealth. We've had the opportunity to expand the facility. Like I mentioned, we've expanded several times. And over the last several years, we've had the opportunity to expand even more. We've had 4 different opportunities where we have wanted to grow our business here. Schreiber's is in a unique position where we have a lot of growth potential. Our customers are asking us for more and more product, and we're looking for places where we can produce those products. Over the last several years, we've had 4 opportunities to expand our facility here. Unfortunately, those expansions haven't come to pass because of some of the struggles that we have with our infrastructure here within Shippensburg, specifically looking at the wastewater and the water supply coming into our facility. These 4 opportunities that we had that we ended up passing on would have brought 390 full-time positions to this location here. We would have spent $355 million in additional investment in the facility, which came at a cost or a loss, I would say, of $8.1 million one-time state and local tax generation and an annual reoccurring state and local tax generation of $3.6 million. Unfortunately, those opportunities ended up going to other Schreiber locations or to competitors. So those opportunities ended up going to Wisconsin, Michigan, and then also Ohio. So unfortunately, we lost out on those opportunities. Schreiber still is looking to say, hey, we want to expand in the Shippensburg area. As mentioned before, the 81 corridor is critical for us. It is a pipeline that gets us the ability to get our products out to the East Coast. we do a lot of different private label products that we produce here. So in Shippensburg, we have over 100 different labels that we're producing, and we supply product to mom and pop stores and locations all the way to larger customers such as Walmart and Dannon, some of our larger customers here. We are continuing to look for ways to grow here in this area, to bring business to the Shippensburg area, to employ more partners. Our partners are our greatest asset here. We have not had a problem hiring and attracting good people in this area to come and work with us. We have very good wages, benefits, and I think the other thing that's very beneficial that people like and partners is the sense of ownership, that they have a stake in what's happening in our facility. We have put a lot of time and energy and effort into kind of that work-life balance with our partners and meeting them where they're at. And we want to continue to offer those types of opportunities to more residents here in this area. Currently, we have 2 other expansion opportunities that are on the horizon for us that we are very excited about. We have an expansion that's currently taking place right now at the facility where we're putting just under $90 million into the Shippensburg plant here to expand current production capacity. But after we're done with this expansion, we're going to be tapped out. With these 2 other opportunities that we have, we need your help and assistance. We've been partnering with the Shippensburg Borough, looking at the infrastructure challenges that we're faced with as far as bringing in the amount of water that we would need into our facility, along with the wastewater that is exiting out of our facility. We have partnered with the borough. We've helped with the expansion of the wastewater treatment facility itself. And so we aren't concerned with the ability to handle the waste, it's how do we get it there. So it's how do we expand and upgrade the pipes that are leaving our facility and what's coming into our plant. So like I mentioned, we've got 2 opportunities that are right in front of us right now that I would love to see come to Shippensburg and to the Commonwealth, to create those jobs and the opportunities that we're looking for the residents here in this area, to bring growth to this area and the dollar impact that it'll bring to Shippensburg and to the Commonwealth. So again, looking at and partnering with the borough on the challenges that we're facing, looking forward to working with this group here and seeing what can we do as an organization and as citizens here to help grow this area. So again, thank you for your time, and
And Mr. Townley, I'm told that you're here for Q&A, but not for testimony, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Mr. Simmons.
All right. Good afternoon. My name is Joshua Simmons. I'm the Complex General Manager, International Paper in the Biglettville, PA. First off, just want to thank you, Representative Ecker, for the invite and the entire caucus for hearing us out today. Looking forward to a productive hearing as well. Like I said, my name is Joshua Simmons. I've been with International Paper for 18 years. Been in the state of Pennsylvania for 11 years. And I work, obviously, with a great company, International Paper. For those of you who may not know, we're the world's leader and producer of corrugated packaging products. We play an essential role of transforming renewable resources into products people depend upon every day. We create fiber-based packaging, products that protect and promote goods that enable worldwide commerce and help consumers stay safe. In the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, we have 8 facilities, roughly 700 teammates spread throughout. Last year, it was $58 million we paid out in payroll, wages, taxes, and benefits. In 2019, we had spent since 2019, we've spent $18 million in capital investments within the state. We continue to pour into our teammates and then also the communities that we live and thrive in. We donated last year $30,000 to communities that we live and work in, all throughout different areas. At the Biglettville Complex, we promote and protect and promote an engaged workforce of about 176 team members, all focused on doing the right things for our customers in every single experience. As one of IP's largest container plants in North America, we're one of over 150. We do produce the most in the state of Pennsylvania. Some of those target customers are in segments such as produce, e-commerce, processed foods and beverage. One thing that's unique about International Paper in Pennsylvania, so our facility is one of the largest, and then our customers are also, their facilities are some of the largest that they have in the country. So it's no secret that the reason why we flourish in the state of Pennsylvania, in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, is because of this workforce. People love coming to work. They want to provide for their families. They operate with a sense of ownership. All of you all received the written testimony, but I really want to touch on the workforce, some things about permitting reform, taxes, and other manufacturing issues. We support policies that grow the pipeline of skilled job candidates ready to join our manufacturing team. So we support all those things that help with promoting career and technical education, whether it be in middle school, high school, or post-secondary education. We really need those teammates, part of our team, especially with the skills. But it's been no secret that we have struggled quite a bit in our facility of attracting talent. Our starting wage is about $21.49, and maintenance is at $26.89, which is a competitive wage. But we struggle to find new team members that are willing and able to work within a manufacturing environment and who can pass our pre-employment tests. As we mentioned in our written testimony, corrugated boxes are produced in a manufacturing environment and cannot be produced at home. So it's very critical that we have a very, very strong workforce to produce these products. In regards to permitting, first of all, I want to thank you because in the state of Pennsylvania, we have really benefited by some of the streamlining processes that helped with permitting, specifically the SPEED Act, the streamlining permits for economic expansion and development that has really helped us. However, there's still some things in regards to predictability, transparency, and that process that would aid us going forward as we try to renew certain permits such as air and water permits. We do work with a consultant company that helps all of our facilities across the state, across the Commonwealth. But the predictability and the transparency would help us to create a more consistent process whenever these renewals do come up. In regards to tax, we really do appreciate the work of this legislature by taking on the gradual elimination of Pennsylvania startup tax by prospectively improving the tax treatment of net operating losses and the phase down of the state's corporate net income tax rate. We further urge improvements to Pennsylvania's treatment of NOLs to at least achieve parity with other states and the federal government. With the limited NOL utilizations and over the past and estimated for the future will cost IP more than $20 million in lost NOL benefit. Additionally, we encourage the legislature to continue to accelerate or at least maintain the phase down of the state corporate net income tax rate. This will help us to expand our facilities and to further reinvest into our assets. Finally, for more than 125 years, IP has championed the sustainable management of natural resources. We're a fiber-based company that relies on new fiber, which is trees, and recycled fiber. It takes both to make new products. Being a good environmental stewards is an important part of our business. That's why paper recycling is so important to us. IP collects and sources and processes over 7 million tons of recovered fiber annually in the United States, which we pour back into our paper mills, our own paper mills, and we distribute across a global network of other manufacturers. In conclusion, IP appreciates the opportunity to share our comments with the Pennsylvania House Republican Policy Committee on cost benefits of doing business in PA. The continued support of our local and state elected officials will help IP to continue to grow our business in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Thank you.
All right. Vice Chairman Eckert.
I want to thank you all for being here again. Thank you for your testimony. As you know, I kind of said at the outset here, these are multinational corporations that are worldwide corporations that have chosen Pennsylvania and are looking to even expand. And most, I think everybody here is looking to expand their operations in Pennsylvania, hopefully in Adams and Cumberland County. But in any event, these are opportunities that I think our state needs, and you've highlighted a few of the struggles that each of your individual companies are dealing with. But my question for the panel here is, when those decisions are getting made, and if you're part of those conversations, what are some of the key things that are discussed amongst the management team to invest, to expand? I know you, like I said, you highlighted some kind of micro level stuff, but what are some of those conversations like? Because obviously you're advocating to expand. You want to expand here for your own industries and your own factories and manufacturing facilities. What are those conversations like? What how do you advocate? What are some fallbacks and some negatives that go about making those decisions?
So my name's Justin Townley. I'm actually oversee our engineering for Schreiber Foods of the yogurt division. And part of what I do actually in my role is I look at all of our sites and start to help to decide where we place a lot of our manufacturing facilities. So one of the biggest things that goes into that, a lot of times with our business, is speed. So when we have a opportunity that is presented to us, a lot of times the customers that we're working with want to quickly fill a gap in the market, especially when it comes to a food item. And so when they want to fill that, it's how quickly can we get items identified, lines laid out, installed, and then started up in those areas. So one of the big struggles we'll hit is as we go into those in planning, if we have hurdles such as for us would be our infrastructure that we have to get upgraded. If we're upgrading infrastructure, a lot of times this can take 2 years or more, depending on the infrastructure that you're wanting to upgrade. So if we're looking at sewer lines, or if we're looking at water supply lines or wells, it does take a long time. And before I can go in and confidently say, hey, I want to select this site and place a new facility or a line at it, then I have to have those infrastructures there. Otherwise, I'll look at other places that already have them in place and then look to see how quickly can I move in those areas.
Yeah, I think some of the other things that we looked at and the ones that I've been involved with is the labor pool. Do we have the partners that are available, or the resources if we need to go higher and bring in more? Is that available? So how is the plant doing as far as hiring and retention and the applicant flow for each of the facilities that we're looking at? And I would say, here in Shippensburg, our applicant flow is very, very good. So we have a lot of people that are interested in coming and working for us. And then it gets into what Justin is talking about, is how quickly can we execute these, and do we have the resources, the infrastructure that is here so that we can meet what our customers are actually looking for.
And then obviously, incentives. International Paper opened a brand new facility in 2023, and they received a redevelopment assistant capital program grant, which was very helpful in getting that facility off the ground. But also, like I said, labor pool. It just so happened where they decided it was a brownfield location, so it was an existing building that they built into. So it was not greenfield, and which allowed them to go through the process a little faster. And then, so that's kind of some things we look at as well.
I'm not sure that I can add anything to that. Workforce is always something that is on our minds in the context of availability and ensuring that we're getting the right competence sets for the work that we want to do, both in production and professionally. The infrastructure investments too, and then the availability and support for expansion, if that expansion is vertical or if it's horizontal, trying to find again, partnerships that can help us work through the complications of being able to, secure expansion. And that really, again, is a community effort.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note, and just a quick follow-up for you guys, is that obviously these decisions can't be prolonged, right? I mean, you have to make these decisions. You don't have months to make these decisions. Like you said, you're filling market gaps. I mean, these are decisions you have to be able to make immediately, right? Yeah, so
Yes, especially on our side. So it's pretty quick. Customers either come to us because their current manufacturer is not meeting their demands, which means they're already frustrated and they're looking for someone that can fill that gap quickly. Or if it's something that we want to launch into the market, then speed, right? So being the first to get that product out there and on the shelf before our competitors do. So a lot of times it comes back to being quick on those.
Yeah, and I think it just highlights the need to make new development, streamline new development, new investment in Pennsylvania, and be a competitive state. And I know you raised NOLs. But, if folks want to invest here, then let's not penalize them for investing here. And I think building on those opportunities for companies like yourselves that clearly want to expand here, and building some opportunities and hope and opportunity for your folks to build here, I think is exciting, but there's a lot of work to be done. I know as our caucus, it's something we pound the drum on a lot. It's something we're going to continue to work on, and I really appreciate you guys sharing your testimony.
Chairman Irving.
Good afternoon again. Thank you for all of you being here. Two of you had mentioned the Interstate 81 and how that is a great opportunity, and one of the reasons why you picked the Shippensburg area to actually expand your companies and make that a leader here in the central Pennsylvania area. And being new to representing the Shippensburg area myself, I've never really had that exposure to Interstate 81 until I got here. And next thing you know, everyone's jumping on me. What are you going to do about Interstate 81? And I'm like, well, you have an interstate. What else do you need to do to it? And obviously, the third lane is something that's been very pushed. I think anyone who's in this area realizes that third lane is very much important to the safety and the transportation. You have the third lane down in West Virginia, and actually the expansion and where the PennDOT has the traffic studies, they're expanding that third lane in closer to the Harrisburg area. And hopefully, with working with state and federal government, that will happen in here. Whether it'll be in my lifetime or not, I'm not sure, but that's something that is on our radar. Workforce was another issue that Representative Eckert actually mentioned, as well as you're mentioning. Being a chairman of the Housing and Community Development Committee in Harrisburg, two questions I would like to pose to you is, how are you able to attract a good workforce with a housing shortage that we're dealing with right now? And then with getting younger families in there, we're also looking at your child care. How can we help with, at the state level, with providing any kind of child care tax credits to try to make sure that you can attract that quality workforce into your companies?
It's a great question, and I really appreciate it. One of the things that I'm involved in is I'm part of the Governor's Commission for Early Learning Investment, and have been with that group since 2011. And so this idea of childcare as an example is a workforce enabler, and then this idea of attracting employees. I'm proud to sit at a table among premium employers in our community. This does make a difference. But in this South Central area, there's more jobs than there are people to do the jobs, and that's a fortunate position to be in, I think, as a community, driven by the expansion of distribution centers and distribution activities. But around this idea of sustainability, I believe there's tremendous opportunity in the context of what levers can we pull that free up a larger available pool of workers in our community, and again, for premium employers, where there's a funnel that exists, where I would like to believe that the positions at Volvo are attractive in a way that it might draw somebody away from another position that they may currently have. But over time, with the demographic changes to workforce and aging population, this scarcity of workers is going to increase. And so enablers like childcare, as an example, would provide us as employers, I think, access to workforce that's not engaged currently as part of the workforce, right? They're at home covering childcare duties and things along those lines. The other thing with I-81, I think that's important to just reference, and again, it has to do with the expansion and opportunity in our community right now, is that, again, with regard to sustainability, in its current configuration, with the amount of traffic that exists on 81, in South Central Pennsylvania, it's only going to take a little bit more before it's I believe, not functional whatsoever, right? And so again, proactively addressing infrastructure as it was brought up, but then also these workforce enablers. And there's all kinds of ideas around what that might mean, but childcare being one of them. I think that's super important work and would be beneficial to all employers in the South Central region.
Yeah, we would definitely see value in, childcare. That's one of the challenges that we do run into, is the availability of childcare, and then also, when is it offered? In a manufacturing environment, we're a 24/7 operation. And so childcare during the day is generally easier to come across versus if you're somebody that is working nights. We've struggled with that. We've done different things looking to say, how can we help younger families with children, with childcare and things like that, even to, do we do something on site, those types of things. So we'd be very interested in seeing, what are the things that we could do to help younger families with kids to have the opportunity to come and work and make it work for them and their families, would be, excellent opportunity for us. As far as the housing goes in the area, being one of the employers of choice, with this table here, that really hasn't come up, even though, I'm sure that that's a challenge and an obstacle for the partners that we've been, recruiting and hiring. That hasn't come up recently.
And I'll just say, to add to the I-81 comment, so most of our customers are within a 70-mile radius. So we really, really rely on these interstates to get our products on time. So any type of policies or anything, initiatives to help with that is going to definitely firm the roots for our facility.
Thank you.
Representative Gleim.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say that I've been dealing with I-81 for the length of my term here in the House, and after multiple studies, we were told that we were number one. At least that's what PennDOT told us. From Shippensburg to Middlesex Township in Cumberland County was unfortunately the most dangerous stretch of I-81, which runs all the way through my district. So yeah, that would be quite a godsend if we could get that started. And I also want to thank Volvo for being here and staying here for 50 years. I would be remiss if I didn't say that I have a niece that went to Shippensburg and then was brought on as an intern at Volvo. I thought it was a great experience, and that's the type of things that we need to be doing. My question is for you: how long does it take to get a new building project off the ground here in Pennsylvania, as opposed to Wisconsin or some other state or even country that you're working in?
Do you want us to cut the live stream?
Where some of the pieces that fall in for us right now. So the projects can come up pretty quick, right? Especially when a customer says, I want 150 million pounds of yogurt. Okay, well, we start in for part of its size. So if I'm doing a small expansion in a plant, it's pretty quick. Most of the building permits go through very quickly. It's taken us for some of them about 3 months to get them through. If you take like a Wisconsin, where we've done some other buildings, closer to a month and a half, so it's called 6 weeks to 8 weeks, so it is a little bit longer. It's the larger expansions that do get quite cumbersome. So currently the one that we actually are doing in Shippensburg for Schreiber Foods today, we actually, if you go over a 1 acre disturbance, then it gets into several, what's called NPDES permits that do start to get very lengthy. Luckily, we started quite early on, and so it put us in a good position for that. We do have another expansion that has gone to another one of our facilities that we don't have to go through that process, and it is about an 1.5 acre, 1.75 acre expansion. It right now is looking to shave about 3 months off of that approval process. So that is something we look at when it comes to speed. If it's something we need to move quickly on, we do look at Pennsylvania, and we know it's more strict. So we go, do we have the extra 2-3 months? Or if we have a permit already open, then it's a lot easier for us to jump in and be able to quickly move on it. Then we're okay. But if I didn't have a current permit open, then the conversation, especially with some of our projects, it would just take too long.
When you say it could get a little extra lengthy, how long have you been waiting on that permit?
So if you open up a new MPDES permit, it takes up to about 6 months to get that permit. Luckily for ours, we started early, and so we have it open. So if we go to add on, so we talked about how we have 2 other opportunities available, we can add on to that, and that's a much quicker process. So once you have that initial permit, you're in a much better place. But if I had to today say, oh, I need to start and open up that permit, one of these projects we wouldn't even be able to look at here.
Thank you.
All right, good. Chairman Mao.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And before I forget it, I wanted to thank Dr. Patterson for having us here. He and I sit on the Center for Rural Pennsylvania, which it's a legislatively created board, and we discuss quite a few different things that go on in Pennsylvania. And over the period of time that I've been on this board, we've heard delay over and over and over with companies saying how long it takes to get things through the process. So I understand that. We've understood it for years. We've actually passed legislation that said you had X number of days to review a permit, review an application. If you don't, it's automatically approved, and that didn't help things. I've still got one project that's had an application waiting since last October, so we're out almost a year waiting to get something through. So we understand that's a big problem. We just don't know how to tackle that monster we call DEP in Harrisburg. A different direction that I wanted to go with this is, and Andy, I heard you say earlier, I think it was you that said the word VOTEC education, which even though I'm the chairman of agriculture, I care greatly about VOTEC education in Pennsylvania because, face it, roughly 60%, and this is just life according to Dan, 60% of our students coming out of high school really aren't college bound, nor should they be, because their interests and skills lie elsewhere. How important is it for you guys to have a workforce that you can draw out of that might have a VOTEC education, say at the high school level?
I think it's critically important. And again, that partnership that I referenced with Franklin County Career Technology Center and the other career technology centers that exist in this region have really been instrumental, I think, in our success. What's interesting is that there are, workers with 40 years plus of tenure with our company that are a product of these institutions or these schools. And we have folks that are there doing, these internship experiences that we're facilitating, with 17-year-olds and 18-year-olds through the VOTECs as well. So we've got sort of the whole age continuum. We see our factory workers, our skilled in our skilled trade areas, teaching in those schools, and that's been super great. I do think that there's an opportunity to expand that footprint where you know, my experience in other states has been that, you know, with a county structure, sometimes that simplifies the offering of services, say, versus what we have in the Commonwealth that can create many different small solutions where none of them can maybe get mass enough to do the full service thing that you might need it to do. And this is where, and I say it carefully, but, you know, the absence of a community college serving this, you know, this part of central PA. I realize we have HAC in Harrisburg, but, and HAC connects into the career technology centers. But what we get out of you know, with a high school graduate from a career technology center, I mean, these kids are well prepared and oftentimes have credits beyond high school that are super applicable. But I think the pace of technology in our industry is going to move fast enough that, like Shippensburg University, like Penn State Mont Alto, these kinds of partnerships are going to be important for us to be able to get students to the next level. And that might be a 2-year associate's degree or something that takes them beyond what they're going to learn just through the career technology centers.
Sure.
Yeah, and I would just echo that too. You know, the VOTEC schools, trade schools, things like that are critical for us. The challenge that we run into is the technology that we're bringing in. Lots of times we struggle in trying to get the VOTEC candidates that are coming in to be able to pass some of our testing and the skills that we actually need to see to be successful in the roles that we have. So we struggle with that. We're trying to find partnerships to say, how can we partner more with some of the schools here in the area? And how do we kind of develop those skill sets that we need for the future? But, you know, for the future, I really see that there is a value and a place for that. And we need that here for us to be successful going forward.
We'll have to talk to Dr. Patterson about maybe expanding the curriculum here.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
He'll shoot me later for that one.
I mean, to that point, though, and I'm sorry to interrupt, you know, Shippensburg University's work to bring these engineering programs to our 6 engineering programs in a very, very short period of time with the same accreditation that is offered through, you know, other flagship Pennsylvania schools. I think it's a game changer for the region, and really from an employer perspective, from Volvo's perspective, let me say it that way, we are very, very thankful, very grateful for the work that this school has done to really help prepare the community to support industries like ours.
That's good. That's good. We are evolving. There's no doubt about that. Thank you.
And I think to add on is the importance behind driving it. From an engineering capacity, we actually will not sometimes put in the technology that we would like to put in. So we even have a new line we're designing today that's very heavily servo driven, and it's a delicate piece of machinery, but something we have to look at is, do we have the capability in our sites to be able to maintain this equipment going forward? And so those younger generations that are coming out of school today, having them interested in being willing to work on those type of technologies, that's important for us, because we will actually select technology that's a little bit more mechanical in nature versus the electromechanical side, because we know we don't have the capability today to maintain that equipment. And then I'll get a phone call a year later going, it doesn't work. It's like, it works, but we have to have the skills to be able to maintain it. And that's where the industry's going, but it's keeping skills caught up with maintaining those new pieces of technology.
Thank you.
And for us, we have, on the operations side, I think it's extremely helpful. I think the messaging just needs to be a little bit more intentional. We're in Biglerville, Pennsylvania. We can see the high school, so folks know we're there. We attract some of the talent who aren't going on to post-secondary school. But I think the messaging has to be better. That look, there are jobs here for you, and then you have the ability to grow as you take on certain tasks. You learn. We have a skill in maintenance as well. If you want to, we've had a lot of folks who start out operational, test into maintenance, and work their way up. So I think if folks see the pathway that's available to them, it'll open up the door for a little bit more opportunities.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Rowe.
Rich and I were sharing. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I had a roundtable with some manufacturers in my district just last week, and they were talking about the difficulty in recruiting labor ever since the COVID era of eliminating work search requirements. And even those have been quasi-reinstituted, the self-attestation process, the lack of follow-up from the department means that you have this large group of people that are able to kind of ride that circuit of job applying, but then either disqualifying themselves or just not showing up. And one of the manufacturers had a job fair, several dozen attendees. Of those several dozen attendees, only 2 actually showed up for interviews. Of those 2, they hired both and only 1 showed up for work. So is that sort of difficulty in building out your labor bench something that you guys are seeing? Are you approaching that workforce cliff where you have more aging out than coming in? And if so, how are you dealing with that? Or in this part of the state, are you not seeing those shortages as much?
I'll go first. We are seeing that exact thing. I mean, I'll go through a stack of resumes. You know, we'll have 50 resumes. We'll say yes to maybe 15, 20. You call. You know, either no response, or if you do get a response, you send the test to them. They don't take the test, or if they take the test, they fail. So I think our rates, I looked at it, we had 1,050 applicants, and we've only hired 18. So that's just in 2024. So it's getting very, very difficult. The quality of a skilled worker is, I've never seen it this low. And, you know, to be fair, I think a lot of folks have a lot of options. You know, some of those options even include staying with their parents. They don't have to work. We had a person who quit and said, hey, I'm going to hold out for a first shift job. Well, what are you going to do in between? I don't know. Staying with my mom. You got, you know, warm meal, got a warm bed. We see that. We had a person come in for an interview. Hey, why do you want to work here? You know, the schedule works well with my mom's. You know, I'm like, is she taking you to work? What we hear, it's some of these things I wish I recorded because I've never thought I'd hear them before, you know. So we are going to have a job fair, but, you know, we're trying to keep the standard high because we have to support our customers. And it all starts with people and ends with people. So I don't care the assets we have. I don't care how well the building looks. If we don't have the right people that have an ownership mentality, it's going to translate into hurting our reputation in the marketplace. So we are willing to continue going through the numbers, but we're looking for every kind of idea we can. 70% of the folks who have stayed with us within the last 3 years, we've had 86 new hires, 42 still with us, 65, 70% were referrals. So we do much better with referrals. Obviously, again, reputation, right? If they know that someone's vouching for them, they have a little bit more skin in the game. So, you know, those type of referral bonuses that we have, looking at trying to make those a little bit more lucrative, right? There's some tactics we're trying to explore, but it's a small community, so the workforce it's kind of, you know, not a wide net per se, but we're always open to anything that's going to help the worker at home so they can come to work. So
one of the things that I think, oh, did you want to?
I was just going to say that is an area that we've struggled with, especially post-COVID. We've seen better results recently, but we've had to do a lot of things as an organization. We offer 38 different shift structures now in our facility where we're trying to meet the applicants as they're coming in with their life, with their structure, and what works best for them. So we've opened up a lot of flexibility on what we do as a company. Wages, benefits, things like that we've been addressing and bringing up. We've implemented in our facility a no forced overtime, so we don't force any mandatory overtime. We've staffed up and scheduled the way that a partner knows when they come into work, this is their schedule, this is what they're going to do, and so they can plan things outside of work. That was one of the challenges that we faced, is a lot of times with manufacturing, it's a 24/7 operation. And so we have to have the equipment up and running all the time. And at times, when you're short-staffed, it becomes very difficult for those that are there trying to work, and you're having them work over, you know, multiple hours and overtime that's being forced upon them. So we've done a lot of things to meet them where they're at, and we've seen some good results with that, with our applicant flow coming in, with our retention rates. We still struggle with the first 3 months of someone coming in. We still have those stories of You know, they come in, they interview, we hire them, they don't show up. Or they come in and their first day of training, they go to break and we don't see them again. Those instances are becoming fewer and far between than what it was earlier on. So I think as a company, we've been trying to do things that will help meet people where they're at with their lives.
I think this is such great information because what it there's an aspect where I think we as employers own the solution. I mean, if there's enabling partnerships that help to produce better outcomes with regard to education and readiness, that's super important too. But what I would say is, speaking again for Volvo, it's a compelling offering. Our turnover rates are less than 3.5%. It is a struggle to find the right person and the right fit, but that's our job. I mean, this is the thing we have to do to find the right resource to fill an opening or a position that we have. So I think there's an aspect of it where it's employers need to lean in, rely on the community as well to help solve for this problem, but not put the problem back on you to say, what are you going to do about it, right? Because for my entire career, there's been a segment of the population that, does not do well in interviews, and you may have to interview 100 people to find 20 people or to find 5 people. That has literally been the case, I think, for as long as I've worked. So, but where I see things working very, very well is where we have these partnerships and we're trying to get folks ready, get them familiar with the work that we do. Again, I'll use this career technology partnership where we've got a Volvo assembly station, down in Chambersburg. Folks know what it means to work for us when they graduate from that program and have that certificate. And so when they come to interview, they're ready and they've got a really good understanding. But that was enabled through our work and the work of the school. And I'd like to think we're solving for that problem together.
Well, just looking at some of these numbers from you guys, I mean, with Volvo Group, $334 million in wages and salaries, International Paper with a supplier spend of $353 million, taxes and benefits of $58 million, payroll taxes and benefits at $58 million. You've got Schreiber Food with $418 million in annual revenue. Without you guys and other entrepreneurs, job creators like you, Pennsylvania wouldn't exist at all. So I just want to thank you for investing in our communities, investing in our Commonwealth, and hopefully we can continue to grow that in years to come. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. We've also been joined online by Representative Schern. Representative Rigby.
Thank you, Chairman. The opening remarks by Dr. Peterson talked about a construction class you have here. Interesting. St. Francis University's in my district just did a partnership with our airport, and we just had the ribbon cutting for an aviation mechanics school. 21 months, and you graduate with a degree and a job that's paying $60,000 to $70,000 a year to start. So we can see more of this happening in the colleges at the college level, and when we talk about the skilled labor groups and the technical schools, I know there's been a huge push the past couple of years. Not everybody is college bound, but we want to make sure that they're prepared as they move on in their lives. And I think partnering up with the VOTECs or with the universities or the colleges is a great step in the right direction. Those folks coming out, one, knowing there'll be a job for them, and two, they'll know what their expectations are, and they'll know what the expectations of that job will be. So just wanted to comment on those. And the daycare, I know, is a huge issue that we've discussed a lot. I do know we had 2 businesses back in my district that actually went together and put a daycare in, and it increased their employees and call-offs. They had so many call-offs with employees because of the kids, and somebody be sick or they couldn't do one thing or another. And by putting the 2 of them coming together and putting a daycare into the one building for both businesses to take their children to, they just said it made all the difference in the world for their place of business. So just wanted to throw that out there. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions before I ask a couple here at the end? Anything else? All right. Thank you all very much for the testimony today. I thought this was great. Mr. Simmons, there's something I want to comment on that you had mentioned, and I want to follow it up with a question. You had said that permitting and NOL, and that rings true to me as well. In my district, Shell invested $14 billion in a petrochemical facility. And before I got into office, I was involved in some of the ancillary industries around the region, and so I got to know some people that were investors or representing potential investors, private equity and stuff like that. And I would talk to them, and they would tell me pretty bluntly that there's a very low probability that we're going to end up developing downstream from this plant in Pennsylvania. We're going to go to Ohio or West Virginia. And I asked them, well, why? Like, what's the issue? And this is one of the reasons why I decided to get involved in state politics. They said two things. Number one, permitting. It takes way too long. And these are large-scale investments. I mean, you're talking big manufacturing facilities and things of that nature. And they said, number two, the NOL. So when you talk about NOL and permitting, that rings true for me. It's just amazing to hear in every corner of the Commonwealth, we hear the same complaint about, especially permitting. I had at one of my hearings, the Department of Transportation complaining about DEP's permitting process. We have one agency complaining about the other agency's permitting process. And you know, the Department of Transportation has its own issues with permitting as well. And it's funny, when there's a bridge in Philadelphia that collapses, all of a sudden it's okay to get permits done in 12 days. But for every other project in the Commonwealth, it can't happen. And I just want to make the point, because we talk about legislation that was just passed, and I'm glad we're at least talking about this issue. And once we get the majority back, we are going to focus seriously on this issue and actually try and fix it. But I think it's important to note that we shouldn't have to do any legislation on this. We really shouldn't. This is at the direction of the executive branch, and the governor and his administration, not this one, but the last number of them, can fix this without any legislative input. And they should fix it without any legislative input. That is their department. And I get so upset about it, because we are missing out on opportunities for family-sustaining jobs across this Commonwealth because some person in Harrisburg doesn't want to do their job. It's incredible. We could be pulling people out of poverty. We could be helping our communities, increasing our tax base for school districts so we can keep our taxes lower on property taxes. But we're missing out on this because somebody in Harrisburg has decided they don't want to do their job. And we don't have a governor that's willing to put any of these bureaucrats in any type of level of accountability. And it's not just this one. The last one, the one before that, the one before that. I mean, this is a problem that people in Pennsylvania have been dealing with for generations. And we're missing out on large-scale investments because of it. And I know I'm not going to ask you to respond to that, and I don't want to, you know, go. I just get very upset about hearing this everywhere. This is the 70th hearing. We've probably done, I don't know, 30 of them on business-related issues, and every single time we hear permitting, permitting, permitting. And so what are we doing in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania? This isn't rocket science. We're not asking anyone to cut corners. We just want a permit looked at up or down in an efficient, timely fashion. That should not be a problem. This is something that's a no-brainer, it's a layup, and we are missing out on lots of jobs and pulling people out of poverty and opportunity for our constituents because we can't get our permitting situation straight. But I don't want to talk about permitting. I actually want to talk about a separate issue, because I think this issue is going to become just as perplexing and troublesome for manufacturers in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. It's energy policy. And why we'd be having a conversation on unsound energy policy coming from a state that has so much energy and so much ability to provide reliable and affordable and abundant energy, electricity, for all of our manufacturers, with all the coal assets, the gas assets, the oil assets. The first nuclear plant that was ever built and used for commercial purposes is in Pennsylvania, also in my district, and so on and so forth. And now we're hearing about lithium as well. and how we can actually be mining it out of water that's used during the extraction process in the natural gas industry. There's all kinds of opportunities, energy opportunities in Pennsylvania. But because of unsound policies, where we'd want to rather prop up Chinese-produced energy than Pennsylvania-produced energy, and we enter into this regional greenhouse gas initiative and other poor green policies. They're not green, by the way. We're just, increasing demand for Chinese pollution every time we do this, but that's another tirade I could go on. My question is, we are hearing and seeing from PJM, they're warning about blackouts now in the next couple of years. Electricity prices, they're talking about going up significantly. Can you tell us about the impact energy costs have on you as manufacturers, and how reliable energy and affordable energy plays a role in the process of manufacturing?
No, I can talk through a little bit around the grid side that we're dealing with, and so I will tell you that's something that is being looked at for this facility here in Shippensburg, is that the grid not being appropriately sized for us. And again, we talk about, comes back to permitting a little bit on how quickly can we get that put together. I will say that it's been pretty cumbersome trying to go through that process and say, hey, we may want to be able to grow by X amount of percent. It seems like we're jumping through a lot of hoops. Now, luckily, the grid can handle what we're doing today, but if we look at putting more filtration systems in that are like reverse osmosis, things that are more eco-friendly and sustainable for the other utilities that we utilize, it is going to be straining that grid. Overall, I can tell you that the equipment is quite expensive that we try to get through. But I mean, general prices, I guess I don't deal as heavily on the general daily prices. I don't believe we're seeing as much on the blackout front. I do know we are looking at a few initiatives that we're trying to be green and more sustainable in the energy we're using. We're finding that there's quite a bit of red tape around it on, you have to have so much electricity during certain hours, which as manufacturing, we can't turn off. Middle of the day, maybe we can, maybe we can't, depends on what we're producing. We're finding that those programs aren't really providing as much for us. They look good on paper, but executing them is not, we're not finding it beneficial.
And I can't speak to on a bigger level. I mean, our facility in Biglerville, natural gas is the biggest thing. Steam is what we need to do the corrugate, and so we use a lot of steam. So boilers, the biggest thing for us, though, that we're looking at is some of the requirements coming down with boiler regulations in regards to licensed boiler folks in the facilities. I think that's going to hurt us as manufacturers in Pennsylvania if things like that pass. We have folks who are trained. We have folks who know what they're doing. The testing we do daily, every shift. But I think if policies come to make it harder for us to, again, we're already struggling to kind of attract the right talent. If there's certain regulations put in place in the state of in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania that make it harder for us to produce that steam, then that's going to be a problem.
So let me one more question. It's kind of what I was getting at here, because there's all this talk in the political sphere right now about this concept of inflation and then greedflation, and somehow it's just remarkable to me that these big corporations, all of a sudden became very greedy after COVID when the federal government injected all these trillions of dollars into the market. That couldn't be why costs are going up. It's because corporations all of a sudden decided to do that, and it's ridiculous. I'm being facetious, of course. I guess my question is, when the cost of electricity go up, when the cost of goods go up, how does that impact your business, and how does it impact the people you're selling it to? Does the cost of your goods, what you're selling it for, go up as well, and how does that follow through to the consumer?
I mean, so high level, typically what we do is we try to take the costs that are occurring in the facility and we try to absorb them. So before we ever pass on any of our, price raises. So for example, if you see groceries starting to go up, for Schreiber, we do internalize most of that before we ever look at doing a price raise, because when we start to raise our prices, our customers obviously then are raising theirs, and so you're seeing it reflect directly out into the food that you buy daily. What we will do on our side first is, instead of raising that, because that's not a fun conversation with your superstore customers, at the same time, we will internalize that and work on reducing our waste internally. We'll work on reducing the amount of water and energies that we are using to counterbalance that. But you do eventually will hit a point where it'll cost millions of dollars in capital infrastructure to be able to, for example, I want to save more water. I can put a $3 million RO system in, and maybe I can squeeze out a little bit more and recycle my water. But it's going to cost that $3 million cost up front. Do I want to do that, or I want to buy a little bit more electricity, right, or buy a little bit more water? So it gets hard. We ultimately try to reduce that cost internally, though, before we ever pass on any type of cost increase.
And it's been an impact. I mean, corrugate usage, obviously the price for corrugate has gone up. It's started to come back down a little bit, but still, what ends up happening to us, the biggest, obviously, piece of that is paper, right? So our mills produce a lot of energy. But the byproduct that comes out of that process, they reuse the black liquor. So there's a lot of, and Gretchen will tell you, there's a lot of things on that process that we're really working with government agencies on trying to improve. But it's, I mean, no way to hide it, is that you get to a certain tipping point to where you, like you said, you try to get better in your processes, try to get a little bit more efficient, try to see what you can save. But at the end of the day, if things keep going up the way they do, then ultimately it ends up getting passed on to the consumer.
Well, I appreciate all of you being here today, and I thank you and your entities that you are here representing for being in Pennsylvania. We appreciate having the opportunity for our constituents to work at your facilities, and for them to pursue opportunities here in Pennsylvania and the benefit it has for local communities across this entire Commonwealth. So thank you. In any way we can be helpful in ensuring that you guys keep growing here and are providing more jobs, we're all ears. So, all right, Representative Eckert, if you'd like to give some brief closing remarks.
Yeah, and I just, again, want to thank Shippensburg University for hosting us, and President Patterson for being a great host and giving us a platform here in Stewart Hall to have these conversations. And I want to thank the panel here, International Paper, Schreiber Foods, and Volvo for sharing their story and investing in Pennsylvania and being partners with us. I think we learned a lot today, and while it is something that we hear frequently throughout the Commonwealth, and as we travel across the Commonwealth, it is something that our caucus is committed to, and that's bringing opportunities to Pennsylvanians. And we don't create jobs, you create jobs. And we have got to get government out of the way so that you guys can create jobs, expand, hire folks that you need, and be able to be productive so that we can provide things to people in a efficient, cheap, affordable way. And I think your industries are crucial to that. And I thank you for investing in Pennsylvania and your continued investment in Pennsylvania. And again, I really, really appreciate you being here. Before we go, in the back, because you know, although we are in Cumberland County, I also do represent, me and Representative Mao represent the Fruit Belt. So there are apples in the back. Chairman Kale makes fun of me all the time that all I care about is apples. Notice there's no one directly in the apple industry here. There's some connections with it. International IP definitely has some connections there. But in any event, there's apples from Mountain Ridge Farm in Upper Adams. So grab an apple on your way out. Thank you for being here.
All right. Thank you, Representative Eckert. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to the university for hosting us. Look, Pennsylvania has so much going for us. We have natural resources. We have access to markets. We have access to capital. We have a resilient workforce. We got to get a Harrisburg that gets it and understands the opportunities that we have here. Quite frankly, we shouldn't be talking about competing with other states. We should be talking about dominating in our region. And with the testimony we got here, we are going to take that back to Harrisburg and see how we can make lives better for our constituents to pursue opportunities for family-sustaining jobs. Our next policy committee is taking place on September 17th in Westmoreland County. We'll be addressing the potential of a frack ban and what that would mean for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Until then, this committee is now adjourned. Thank you.